So here's my 12 by 12 purple geode that I had done off camera, but the resin ended up being really liquidy and it all kind of melded together. You can see it's really not defined or staying in its area. So I decided that I was just gonna outline it with the paint pens, metallic pens from Michaels and some Krylon gold and copper pens, and that's what we're doing right now, is kind of just trying to make some definition where there isn't any. I end up deciding that I don't like it, and then I'm going to resin on top of all of this work that you see me doing here. But you can see the center of the geode is some gold rock and some glass, gold glass shards, as well as amethyst, real amethyst, and then some real crystals as well, some quartz crystals that I had hot glued down and resined down, obviously, before I got started on this. I'm just using a couple of different colors. There's a like a purple, and then kind of a raspberry color, because there was a raspberry kind of color in the geode. You can see it a little bit in the corner there, but when I turn it, you can see, it's on the corners a little bit more. And here I'm going over with the Krylon gold paint pen. But yeah, I'm just trying to give a little definition to some of the areas that kind of melted together and make it look more like a geode. Just keeps going. The nice thing about the resin is that if you do screw up, you can use like alcohol to take off the ink. And then you can also obviously resin over the top of it, and it just ends up giving it a lot of depth and a lot of layers. So that's what you'll see me doing next, is going in. Yep, so now I have set up a little tray, and what I did is I took the painter's tape and I created like a edge dam around it, so that the resin wouldn't pour off the sides, and also it would help it kind of stay together. And I'm just adding some clear. Also off to the side, the white are some little wood cutouts of some states that I'm going to make into magnets, and you'll see that as well. It's always good to have a little thing on the side for your extra resin to go onto. So I'm just kind of putting a clear coat of resin on those, because they are wood. You're going to get lots of bubbles, so it's good to put a kind of a pre-coat on, and let it kind of harden or set up, gel set a little bit. I'm using my silicone makeup brush from Amazon to spread out the resin on the little cutouts and on the geode, so that you can spread it to the edges and get it through, nice flat surface that's ready for starting. And I had just painted those wood cutouts with white acrylic paint for 4 of them, and then the State of California one I did with some gold paint. I was just trying it out to see how it would look underneath. I think I would have preferred just leaving it white at the end because of the colors that I chose. And I'm just quickly mixing up the rest of my colors. I'll put them in the link. And so I had some overspill into the gold area, and I had some spots where the resin didn't fill in. So right now I'm just taking that gold, solar gold, and kind of outlining the area of the center first. And what I did is, this is the same resin that I used the first time, but I let it thicken up a little bit. I mixed it and mixed the colors, and then I let it sit. So I'm just putting a little resin on the amethyst. It gives it that wet rock look that, makes it look really shiny and clear all the time. You can see some of the different colors that I'm going to be using off to the side there. You can't see the other colors. And then right now I'm adding the magnets to the center in the clear resin. I wanted the magnets to end up having a flat back, So because the resin already sits up high on stuff when you add it, I thought that I could just add the magnets to it. I forgot how heavy resin is, and so I end up having to do another layer later. You'll see in a different video where I add in more magnets because it needs it. So here I'm trying to give a little definition. I kind of wanted the crystals to still be coming out of the center to the edge, and I put down the purple as the base kind of, and then I have some purple and pink kind of cut glass crystals that I'm shaping into the shapes that I had already outlined kind of with the paint pens. I was, utilizing what I had already done on the geode, just kind of accentuating it a little bit more, adding a little more resin to kind of have that purpley base of it, also having a good spot to stick the crystals on. Just using those silicone makeup brushes are amazing for getting stuff pushed around on the resin where you need it to go. I have it kind of pre-mixed together in an area. So like I already had this little space that looked like it needed something in the center. Just adding more crystals to it to make it more like a geode. Just kind of a little prettier, a little more interesting to it. Yep, and then just brushing them all together so that they're not everywhere. They should only be in the growing area, quote unquote, kind of on the crystal. So just keep going. I do have this going at a speed of two times the speed, so it's not me actually moving that fast, but I don't think that you want to watch an hour-long video. There's a lot of breaks in between when you're mixing up your next colors, and like I added some holographic glitter to this one just to kind of give it a little shimmer and shine. It just kind of felt like it needed a little extra. The colors had kind of blended together so much that I wanted to kind of redefine spaces on the painting. So I'm just kind of going in between the painted on areas, and then you end up, it just kind of is, you can see through it already. You can see still through to the layer below, but it just kind of gives it a little definition and a little more interest to the geode. But you can see how it's all staying in one place. The first time that I was doing this, that first layer, it did not stay in one place. It all was already melting and melting off the edges. So yeah, this color, I just wanted to, it was really transparent and just kind of a glittery raspberry color. So I was just trying to kind of get a little bit of color everywhere. Make sure that I cover the whole top because you don't want it to be pitted or angled or anything. If you're doing the top, you want it to kind of be, make sure it's all level and that it's going to end up covering evenly across the top. So here's a blue russet. It's like an interference type of color. It's actually a bluish color, but it kind of goes blue-violet and a little bit of gold. Just kind of for interest. It doesn't have to be mixed in, but I knew the colors were mixing a little bit, so I kind of chose colors that would look good with each other or bounce off the colors underneath. This is an interference violet from Geode. The Pearl X colors. And I'm just kind of putting it everywhere because it depends on where it lands, whether it's going to look violet or kind of a whitey creamy color, what's underneath it. And so it's just kind of a point of interest, again, changing up how the geode looks. And then getting out all the bubbles, getting the bubbles off of the little magnets as well, the state magnets. Got some Oregon, Washington, just a round one in California. because I'm in Oregon, so did, you know, my state and then the states that are closest to me. And this is a, you know, another Pearl X color. It's got a lot of shimmer in it, which is great. It's kind of got that raspberry pink color, which I had underneath. So just kind of adding it to little pockets, little holes that I had before I blend them all together. And I'm trying to keep that center part kind of the gold spread out of the center. This is a boysenberry color because, you know, you do want that dark contrast in there against all those shimmery light colors. So yeah, it's kind of blending a little bit, it's spreading just a little bit, but mostly so far the colors are staying still. Now I have the heat gun out, and at first I go over it just at the low speed setting, not low heat, so I can get the bubbles out and kind of heat up the resin because it has been sitting around a little bit, thickening up. And then I turn on the speed and get it going a little bit to kind of melt together. Adding some more gold, trying to kind of keep that gold definition areas that had stayed. Adding a little more gold to the corners that had kind of disappeared in the first layer. This is a solar gold from Pearl X mixed with some Aztec gold and some glitter as well to kind of give it a nice shimmer. So, yep, just trying to keep following those lines that are underneath, and now you can kind of see that they're a little hazy, not all there. And then I'm using the white as kind of the, you know, the geode line definition to give the little areas like a growing space definition, just keeping it nice light lines, trying not to let it bloom too much in there. It's pretty bright white against all the different purples, so I do end up going over in just a minute and kind of fixing that, you'll see. And I had spilled into the center part, which I don't want with the white, so we'll have to fix that in a second as well. And so grab a little tissue paper, clean it up, pick it up, get it out of there. Put some more gold over it. And then because the white was so bright, I ended up going over it with the gold as well. And I ended up kind of making this nice, like, muted, makes the gold brighter, but it also made the white slightly less noticeable. It created a really nice definition for the gold, kind of like its own extra line habit. Yeah, so just kind of went over all the white lines just to kind of tone them down a little bit. And then we get the heat gun and heat it up, and you can tell that it's not really moving yet. And then you can see now it's got the speed of the blowing on it as well to kind of mix it, meld it, make sure everything's getting covered. We're getting everything just a little bit more kind of natural looking on the lines and stuff, even though there's glitter and gold in there and stuff, but still want it to look semi-natural-ish. But so then on my magnets, they kind of shifted when the resin was moving a little bit, and so then I took my leftover kind of that raspberry color and start adding it on. And so there's already a layer of clear on these that we had. And then that boysenberry color is trying to kind of cover up the magnet, which worked okay. Later on, I do a different, in a different video, I'll show you when I change up how I have covered the magnet. But yeah, it's just kind of an abstract, kind of unicorny colors. What's left of the pinks and the purple on the white, and a little bit of gold They actually end up pretty cute. Little unicorn magnets. Yep, so just using up my colors. It's great to have a way to use up what you have sitting around. It's definitely, you know, something that you want to do. You don't want to leave the resin sitting in your cups. That's just a waste. It's expensive to buy, and so you want to use it when you have it mixed up. So having kind of a plan for something with similar colors next to you, it's a great thing to do. So getting the white, and so it looks kind of crazy, but it ends up, once you blow it out, it looks really nice. The colors blend well together. Just adding a little more white definition after I blown it out the last time to make sure that some of the areas are defined as kind of geode spaces. So, and then I had a lot of the white left mixed up, so I keep a little like candy melts tray, a silicone tray, just next to my workspace so that I can just use it if I have a little bit of resin left to set up. So I had some candy melt stars that I added the white to use it up. Then we have to, you know, get the bubbles out, but we're also blowing it out, kind of making it interesting on the little magnets. It kind of has a tie-dye type of look, definitely kind of unicorny colors. That pink and that boysenberry really makes it quite interesting. And then I'm just going to add a little more gold to it. But we're almost done for this layer. So sometimes you have to just, like, you know when to restrain yourself. Decide whether you're going to mix more resin up or if you're just going to be done. And sometimes you just have to tell yourself that you're done for a while and let it set up, see how it goes. I don't have it on camera, but about an hour or 2 hours after this, once the geode has kind of hit the gel stage in drying, I do peel the rim off so that it can kind of get some nice rounded edges. But I didn't want it all spilling off as it was before it was kind of setting, which is what happened the first time, and I lost a lot of resin that way, which is a bummer. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It's not quite done, this resin piece, but if you like it, like and subscribe my videos. Thanks.